It's another Tuesday afternoon, and 13 minutes past 1. This is the Executive Lounge with me, Inshira Addo, and this is the show on which we assemble the best minds who have scaled the daunting heights of building businesses here at home and managing institutions, as well as here and around the world. My guest today is the man who was recently adjudged the ICT Professional of the Year 2019 by the Ghana Information Technology and Telecom Awards for Excellence. And it's because he's been promoting government digitization, and also his organization, Oracle Ghana, also did win an award for supporting Ghana's digitization project through the Ghana Digital Enterprise program, GODEP. But we'll learn a little more about my guest, this Mr. Franklin Asari, country leader of Oracle. You're welcome to the Executive Lounge, sir.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Sharon.
It's a pleasure to catch up with you, and I've had the benefit of having a series of conversations with you, and I understand where as an individual your passion lies and what your organization does, and it's quite nice to see that synergy that you not only are passionate about the digital economy, but you're also directing resources and walking the talk, and so it's a pleasure to catch up with you, and congratulations on the awards that you and Oracle Ghana picked up over the weekend.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So let's jump into this. Typically would like to know who you are and all of that, but did you always see yourself working in technology when you started out?
No, not at all. I'm an accountant. I'm a fellow ACCA. I am ICA as well. And I started this journey being an accountant, and I just got interested in business processes. And following that, I got interested in the automation of business processes. And that's where I find myself here.
Wow.
I have worked in the UK for many years, and I had a stint with Oracle in the US, working for a company that exposed me to Oracle tools in Boston and then also in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So that's where I get my knowledge of Oracle from. And I'm proud to say that Oracle is a great company.
Wonderful. Well, it's good to have you here once again. Started off in accounting, got fascinated by business processing and also the automation thereof. Of course, that led you into the world of Oracle. I would like us to focus on the concept of the fourth industrial revolution. There's been a number of waves. Started off with the invention of the steam engine. We went into the industrial age. I mean, now everyone says it's the knowledge economy or the knowledge age or the digital age. And in recent times, Africa has been touted as being the next frontier. And whether this frontier is one that allows us to leapfrog or lag behind, I just would like your thoughts on how this fourth industrial revolution can impact on this continent and where the opportunities lie.
Right. Very, very interesting. When we talk about the fourth industrial revolution from a skills perspective, we are talking about critical thinking, we are talking about creativity, we are talking about innovation. So these are things that we need to be taught in our schools as we embed and strengthen our knowledge base. But predominantly, when we talk about the fourth industrial revolution, we are talking about the digital era. This is where we live, where digital technologies will prevail. Technologies like AI, technologies like machine learning, social, mobilitics. These are the technologies of this age. And our ability to use them will define what true literacy is.
Wow.
And this is a serious concept for this part of the world.
So when you say true literacy, break it down for me. How will that literacy be improved or enhanced?
True literacy will indeed be digital literacy. Digital illiteracy will be true illiteracy. So the literacy in terms of our STEM, we'll be focusing on the T of STEM a lot in the fourth industrial revolution. So as we develop new business models, as we develop new entities that are coming up faster, ways to get to market out of the digital technologies, we need to have the capacity and the capability to raise those companies that will be able to do that are prepared. It's like looking at a Jack Welch and a Jack Ma.
Okay.
A Jack Welch being industrial revolution, a Jack Ma being the digital revolution, and the paradigm and the exchange and the dichotomy of thoughts. That is what we need to plug in, because this is indeed the gap.
Right. So between as things stand now, we have just started. There's a whole national digitization agenda ongoing. Within every economy, the business play a massive role in seeing that economy work. Of course, the framework within which they operate has to be right. How do you foresee Ghana leapfrogging our economy, growing leaps and bounds, more people being employed, more people being skilled, ready for this digital revolution?
Interesting. I think we first need to separate business owners from entrepreneurs. There's a big difference.
So an entrepreneur is not necessarily a business owner?
Not necessarily. In our part of the world, the business owners create extra income by doing something else, taking a part-time job, or, doing something else. But when we talk about true entrepreneur, the entrepreneur will use digital technologies or use some form of innovation, some form of creativity. They will break barriers. They will transform. They will create visions. And these are the business models that will continue in the fourth digital revolution. The business owners necessarily will not be there. Because when you talk about entrepreneurship, there's what we call these days digital leadership, coming out of digital entrepreneurship, because the style of leadership has changed. And the ability to see companies grow, go through challenges. We've just had a digital disruption that we're going through now. You've seen the banks in the U.S. survive. And they're surviving, and the others will go down, because these are very solid business models which are repeatable and also scalable. So I'd like to see, first of all, entrepreneurs coming up, and digital entrepreneurs for that matter, because we live in a digital age. And that's why I am interested in GoDep. Because GoDep will create that vicious cycle of innovation, allowing us to leapfrog, allowing us to grow, faster access to market, reducing the cost of setting up businesses. These days, you don't have to pay the goodwill we used to pay for a shop anymore, because everything is on a virtual platform that you can develop. It is cheaper and easier. What you need is a solid idea that you scale up into a business model.
So brick and mortar will most likely not be the critical thing a business requires to scale up.
Absolutely not.
And how good must an idea be? You kind of look around and look at some of the disruptors, like the cab hailing services, the hotel on the virtual platform. I mean, these guys have listings that, if you combine the top 5 global hotel brands, they don't have that listing, and these guys don't own a single hotel property. How good must an idea be to be able to break through and stand out?
Interestingly, the idea has to be able to serve the needs of the local community that it impacts. That's where it starts from. So a very good idea in the U.S. may not necessarily be one in Ghana. So what we are trying to use our startups to do is to be able to impact this local economy by the ideas that they come up with. Within this local economy, they will grow, they will scale. The market for them will be here, because they are answering problems in this era. By the way, money is just a reward you get for solving problems. So by that, the start, and there are so many problems. That's the difference between the developed and the developing. The developing is just a sense of a basket of problems that needs to be solved. So this is our time to grow our startups.
It is indeed a time to grow the startups within this country. It's 23 minutes past 1. You're listening to the Executive Lounge. My guest is the country lead for Oracle Ghana, Mr. Franklin Asari. And you can join us with your own thoughts and questions via WhatsApp and Telegram. The number is 0244 340 437. You can also tweet at me at GHRainmaker or hashtag Executive Lounge with your thoughts and questions, and we should share them with our guest in the studio. The conversation is around techpreneurship and, development. Now, we're not a very digital country.
No.
Frankly. We've seen news stories of teachers teaching ICT without the tools for which you perform functions of ICT. With that in mind, how do we create a critical mass of skilled people? You know, you can't, I can imagine that it would be almost impossible to dream and have great ideas in a space that you're not exposed to. So how do we bridge that gap quickly?
Well, there are several online platforms available that we could earmark to developing our teachers very quickly on a trainer basis so that they can impact our kids at the schools. That's very easy. I think that the training that these days are required to be able to kickstart the brain in terms of the logic required to appreciate the digital economy. You are invariably talking about knowledge of the database, understanding of the rules of coding, the language of coding, because the code structures your mind and your ability to articulate knowledge and data transformation and data population and data analysis, which comes from your ability to code. That certainly needs to be there. And we as Oracle, we are already working with government to open these opportunities up for that knowledge base to be impacted. We are ready. But that knowledge is certainly required. Also, Java is required. Java is the ability to, the touch and feel on our phones these days comes out of that technology. But over and above that, we need to be able to use social media very well. I don't think we're using social media very well. We need to be able to use the mobile phone very, very well, because the mobile phone is a computer in your pocket. And to be able to use it for more than just WhatsApp and answering phone calls, be able to use the features that are on it, because it's more powerful than some laptops that are on a desktop. These are all things we need to be able to use. I think that if you're 18 up to about 35, you live in a generation where without this knowledge, your future in this digital era that we live in will be in doubt. And I believe we have a workforce and a young population in Ghana that are eager, that are keen. We just need to support them. And that's where, as you know, inshallah, my passion lies. I just want to make sure that we are not left behind. I want to be able to live and serve this generation with the knowledge that we have. I want Ghana to grow, and I want Ghana to leapfrog. Inshallah, this is what kicked this. You see, when we talk about growth in Africa, we are talking about some countries. I'm online, I can't mention their name. But Ghana is the country that led independence. We led it. 62 years ago, we wrestled power from the British. There is no way we can say that we are not going to be leaders in the digital area. Whether we like it or not, we have to be leaders because we're leaders in Africa. This is the time, this is the moment, and we need to do it.
What would be the critical things that must happen for that to happen? I mean, we got independence, we've done this, we've done that, we're first to do this, first to do that, first to do lots of different things. But you can only remain first if you keep your momentum. So in our case, when you talk technology, the first names that tend to come to mind these days is Kenya, with the success of M-Pesa. You hear Rwanda coming up, and okay, so have we really led, or how are we going to capture that leadership spot?
I think we let them lead, but I think it's time for us to catch up. I certainly think that we need a policy, and we have the policy in place. The current government is doing very well. The previous one also did. I think we need connectivity, and the connectivity has to be cheaper because you need solid connectivity is like a road in the industrial era. If it's like you can't get to places because the road network is not good. So we need connectivity. It has to be cheaper. And we need to make sure that we're working with the right agencies and to make sure that data sets are available, those data packets are available to support But not only that, we also need an understanding of what I call architecture in terms of what would be the framework within which the business principles and the processes and the business rules will lie, of course, driven by technology and the ability to have very decent reporting. And we need to also have a very good archiving system for our information. We need to have very good email systems, government having all the email systems. And I think a lot has been done that we are not talking about. I think we need to communicate it, that we are already trying to build most of the building blocks that are required. Then a clear policy for cloud as to what cloud means to a government, to a people, because in that regard, the private sector is doing very well. But I think all that and a very passionate citizenry, and I believe we have that, I think we are ready to move forward without breaking ranks.
I like what you said, and then you made a very interesting point earlier about digital leadership.
Yeah.
To quote John C. Maxwell, leadership is everything, it's cause, and everything else is the effect.
Yeah.
Do we have what it takes to demonstrate leadership, sustain it, and use it as a tool to rally everyone behind a common vision?
I think to an extent we have that leadership. But the leadership required in the digital era, I think, is lacking. It needs to be developed. Because you're dealing with two different eras. I like my Jack Welch and my Jack Ma. Or maybe Mark Zuckerberg. The leadership styles of these people are different. They make sense to the younger people. They can resonate with it. They can appreciate it. And it's an understanding of the technology landscape and what it can be used. For example, if I send you an email, that's official enough in this generation. In the previous generation, it won't suffice. So there are some cultural changes also that are required to be able to live very well in this digital. And also there are things like security, because a lot of data is available, will be available, and we need to make sure that piracy and privacy issues are not violated. We need to understand storage and how we can store that data to give us the right access to them. You're talking things like big data and the ability to interpret that information sitting on all these, let me call them databases or data warehouses, to be able to use them for very good information, decision making. So the leadership that is required is to see where the world is going digitally, and to be able to look at it and to see where we are as a country, look at the gaps carefully, critically, and be able to plug it in and get a very young workforce, I believe we have in this country, to be able to follow us to make this thing happen.
Right. You mentioned a specific age bracket, 18 to 35, and essentially exhorted them and said, if you don't plug into this wave, your future would be limited.
The reason I say that is that the 18 to the 35s are in the digital age, and their futures will be in the digital age. So if, for example, they don't have the ability to use the smartphone well, it will be a disadvantage. If they don't understand the social tools well, it will be a disadvantage. I mean, I still can tell you the definition of, I can give you Archimedes' principle all the days from my days at Pope John. Let me promote my school a little bit. And I can quote it right now. But in the age that the 18s to 35s will live in, they can Google it. They don't need to have a mental retention of that information. It is a different age. And the preparation for that is what requires digital leadership, that understanding. And that needs to happen.
You know, if we, let me just juxtapose this explanation you're giving within the context of the Ghana we live in today. It's governed by a constitution that was written in 1992. You have to be at the starting point of this demographic you mentioned, 18, first of all, to let your voice.
It can be
count.
younger anyway, but
yeah,
I mean,
you know that you let your voice be heard. And at 35, you're still a little young to have a seat at the table of national leadership. Though we've seen quite a number of people breaking into, at least in the parliamentary circles and other places. The reason I bring this up is to ask what you think is required of our society, if indeed these young people will live in a digital age, and those who now make the policies and the decisions for them, or that affect that future, didn't grow in this digital age, what's required to bring a synergy that makes sure that the future is protected?
It's back to that leadership. And I take your point that even in Ghana, you're 40, you're still very young. 50, you're still very young. But the maturity these kids have in the digital age, they have simply just taken over. I see precedents going to happen in Ghana at 38, 39, 40 because they'll have all the wisdom and the maturity to be able to lead Ghana in a digital age. It's just around the corner. It's there. So I don't think we can hang on to age as a reason to be able to hold on to power. It's shifting. The economic cultures are shifting. The business models are shifting. All of that has been disrupted. This is why you can pull information from the cloud. It wasn't there in our school days. This is why on your phone you can dial anybody. This is why, I mean, in my school days, you know, I lived in the UK, you had to send an letter card, 26 UK, you know, pence to your parents. These days you WhatsApp them. And changing location is not a problem. Because you could be in London now and still be on your Ghana WhatsApp, and people won't know you've changed your location. Inshallah, we're living in very dangerous times if we are not ready. And I'm more concerned, and I've said this on other platforms, that what we call developing and what we call develop, the gap between the two will be wider if we let this thing go. We have to arrest this now and deal with it. But I think we have many young people. First of all, I think we need to look at technology positively. There are many perceptions of technology that are negative. That needs to go away. That's one. I think we need a clear policy in that regard, that these are the things and the parameters in which we allow this creativity to flow. And of course, guide some of the creative processes that people are coming in, because some could be damaging, I agree. I certainly think we need to look at infrastructure to allow connectivity and cheaper connectivity. I certainly think that we need to respect and understand privacy rules and in terms of data storage and data protection. And I believe that as a country, we have all the organizations ready to handle this and help us to make it work. I think we need to get examples from other countries, certainly from the developed. I can talk about Estonia freely, and learn lessons from it. But not doing anything in Israel is not an option. Absolutely not.
Absolutely, I agree. Not doing anything is in itself doing something. There are consequences. It's still an action.
Yes.
35 minutes past 1. This is the Executive Lounge, live in the studio with Franklin Asari. He's the country lead for Oracle Ghana. And we're having a very interesting conversation about what would be the focal pillars for which we can grow and be ready for the future. The fourth industrial revolution is here with us, and the change is all over. We read stories about how young people are creating new things. People are disrupting. I would like to talk a bit about, but before we jump into the specific conversation about the stuff that you've been involved in, the GODA program, which is a collaboration between Oracle and the government of Ghana, is looking to grow 500 startups, digital startups. Hopefully, these are the champions we can rely on to bring about that renaissance. I'm sure you're optimistic about it, but I'd like to ask, how realistically optimistic are you that we will achieve some significant growth that impacts positively on this economy and the future of the young people today?
Interesting. I certainly think GODEP is an initiative, although it's late, at least it's here now, because there are many gaps in the startup ecosystem. This is the most comprehensive program that is out there now. 21-month program by Oracle in cycles of 3 months, where we expose you to our cloud credits in terms of developing digital products to be able to give you access to market, give you the mentoring that is required and all the support that is needed to make sure that you can go to market. I think the businesses I've seen so far, there are some who have done very well. They need a little push, just a little. And the others who are starting, we need to refine their business models, think through it, and the expertise that we are bringing on board. These are things that they can't do by themselves. Under GoDep, we are going to address the legal framework surrounding these startups so that they don't feel abused and cheated in the marketplace. By the way, Oracle is not taking, we're not taking any share, any equity at all in this. We just want to do this as part of a serious CSR to be able to develop that base. But this is my passion about GoDep. We think we can do up to about 1,500 or more. As many as come, we will be able to absorb them. At the moment, we are still working hard to reach out to 500. But Aisha, even if 2 of these kids, of these young people out of 500 make it, can you imagine the potential? If there's a Mark Zuckerberg out there somewhere among these kids, and we find that person, look at the impact on the whole economy. We're dealing with a 43, 44 billion GDP economy. If you're Facebook, that is not a lot of money at all. You just need to pick one of these kids, and the future of Ghana will be turned upside down positively. So I think we need to go and find them. The search is hard. We've been to Accra, we've been to Kumasi, we are going to Tamale, we're going to Sunyani, we're going to Ho. Wherever they are, prayerfully, we are going to find them. Because I believe that the change that we are looking for as a country, somebody has been born somewhere in this part of the world, in Ghana, in this country. And we're going to reach out and we're going to find that person. We will do everything we can to expose them. It is about education, it is about experience, and finally it's about exposure. You need all 3.
Education, experience, and exposure.
Absolutely. And that is what we are trying to do. Because at the point where we expose them, they are ready for this digital world, digital era, and they are ready to do very well financially. I want us to confront poverty head on. I think if the digital era, digital entrepreneurship, it levels the playing field for us, because we are playing by their rules, and we are playing virtually. These are things we have not been able to do before. It will not be about cocoa, it will not be about oil. It will be about ability to, as I've said on other platforms, everywhere you sit with your head screwed on becomes your office. It changes the paradigm completely. And this is where we need to be pursuing. And I believe other African countries will do that as well. Because where we saw development and where we have seen development in the past is not where the ball is going now. The ball has been passed to the digital era by the Industrial Revolution. This is where we need to play. This is where we need to scale up. This is where we need to scale up. This is where we need to develop the repeatable business models. And I believe GoDep is a part of it. But not only GoDep, we also need to develop people who have the experience out there, who will be happy to step out and help. And this is a clarion call. People have experience. There are many people who have worked on corporate platforms abroad. Please come out and help. Please come out and help. We have expert talks. Come and share your experiences. Also, we need access to very good, as I said, connectivity. There may be somebody somewhere in a part of Ghana who needs access to be able to consume these digital products that we are offering. Can we have somebody come in and help us, giving us data to support some of these efforts? So we want to get in touch with the hubs. This is a clarion call for Ghana to push to the next level. I am representing Oracle. I believe the other people who have muscle, who have weight, who have the cash as well, who can come in. Let this moment not pass. This is indeed almost a divine moment for change to be seen. And I think we need to appreciate it and appropriate it and let it roll and let it happen.
That's a very, very passionate call. I'd like to go back to the 3 E's you mentioned: education, experience, and exposure. Starting with education, what would you recommend today? I mean, there's a lot of talk about educational reforms. To what extent should we factor the future, and how do we go about it? In that same space, how do we educate those who may have found themselves matured but didn't have the fundamental training that they had before? What are the buttons we need to push to get these people aligned?
Interesting. And education, first of all, I think we need to incorporate a lot of IT knowledge, specifically databases and networking and other aspects of IT into education at a very early age. The young people can handle it. Even at 6 years, 10 years, they can handle some of these things. It needs to be incorporated into the education. We need to do that. We need to do that now. In terms of experience, we need to find them relevant experience. I can tell you there are many exchange programs in the U.S. that will happily have some Ghanaian kids, 3 or 4, to come and join very good and big companies and gain some experience. Let's not shy away from these opportunities. They are there everywhere. Of course, they've got to come back home. They are there. Everybody wants to help Africa now because everybody sees this as our moment. And especially Ghana is a shining light.
Yeah.
So I think we need experience. And also there are local companies here who will be happy to share some of the experience in terms of how they do, how they work, what their processes are. GoDep is a platform. We have other platforms available. Other companies are doing things similar. Looking at AI, others are. We need to collaborate. It's not time to compete anymore. Where we share our experiences and bring it to bear on our young people and on this population and on this continent, particularly this country, to make sure we can do well. Finally, it's about exposure. Exposure deeply reveals the depths and the intimacy of relationships. Because somebody somewhere is a solution to your problem. You just need access. And that's why exposure is necessary. We need the right networks. Under this GoDep program, we will give you access to venture capitalists to be able to help you. We'll give you access to customers. And I'm not saying it's only Oracle doing that. Oracle, other people can do that as well. So that exposure is necessary. And the exposure is developing relationships and networking. So there you are, the 3 E's.
Collaborating versus competing. Let's situate this in the context of a national plan. India's transformation was not a doing of their version of the Silicon Valley.
Right.
There was a national agenda that backed that vision and created the right environment within which these people developed rapidly. BPOs, just started flooding over into India. As we speak, there are quite a number of things you could do. I know a number of entrepreneurs who wanted apps built. You can go online and find someone who will build you an app for $300. India suddenly became saturated with ICT manpower.
Yeah.
You've talked about a number of things we ought to do. Looking at how they went, borrowing from their experience, what would you say we should do today if we are going to rapidly start attracting some kind of work, because you need to build your experience that way? What 3 things do you think we ought to start doing?
Well, let me start the last one first. Technology parks, I haven't mentioned that so far. We need to develop technology parks. If you go to India, Bangalore, all of these are technology parks. You go to the UK, Thames Valley Park is a technology park. We have one in Birmingham. If you go to San Francisco, this whole Silicon Valley is a technology park. We need to build a government-sponsored technology park somewhere in this country, and it will grow and become a town similar to Tema, and attract these major IT companies to come and take residence there and grow and develop our young people. We need to give them tax breaks and other things that will welcome them into this place. But I think that needs to happen. Then I go back to connectivity. You can build the parks, but in this age, digitally, you have to connect, and you need the right infrastructure. Is 5G the extent to which we are going for our telcos? Isn't there something faster, cheaper? I don't know, but I believe there are options out there that we need to explore, and we need to break the barriers, in terms of looking at what is. I believe there may be WiMAX solutions out there that we can use certainly in certain regions, as we look at one district, one factory, and all these other things into particular regions that we can have and deploy. But I think we've started well. I was part of a digital roadmap conference recently organized by the government, the vice president. And I believe they are doing the right things. I believe we need to receive their recommendations and get into the execution of the recommendations to see where we go from here. So the policy side, I think the vision is clear. I think we need all parties to collaborate. But when I say collaboration, because most of us, we tend to compete. But in a blue ocean strategy type, in the deep water, if I see in the middle of the sea, you are my friend. The people who are competing are on the seashore. But if I see somewhere 2 miles into deep ocean, inshallah, suddenly you become my friend. It is that level and that depth and that intimacy of collaboration that we are looking for to take us. Where all the OEMs, for example, we meet every so often and we talk about how we can impact. This is Ghana. I am a Ghanaian first, I say, before country leader for Oko second. I am definitely Ghanaian first. And I think that the others out there are people in the diaspora. I know people who try and reach out to me on LinkedIn, Ghanaians working for top banks in the US, all wanting to do stuff. I've had things from Russia, Ghanaians working in places. Let's lend a hand and make it work.
But from what you're saying, it seems there's a certain willingness
Yes.
to collaborate.
Absolutely.
What do you think is the factor that's hindering that collaboration crystallizing quickly?
I mean, I have started knocking doors. I mean, today, for example, I spoke to a CEO of another major OEM, and I said, let's talk. Let's talk. It's not about competing between products and your product and mine and the superiority of yours or mine over yours. But this is about Ghana. What can we do together? I think that if you want to get into the detail of it, Insha, I know you delve deep and I'll give it out. I think we need to have an ICT roundtable. I think we need to sit down. I think we need to bring all the stakeholders together. Private sector and government. Close the door to the room, and come up with a strategy before we get out. I like to see the strategy in 3-month cycles and 6-month cycles. There are so many of them that are low-hanging fruits that we can do now. Private sector collaborators coming on board. Because what we have predominantly here are business owners, and they are not entrepreneurs.
Wow. Deep stuff. It's 11 minutes to the top of the hour. The time's running out very, very, very fast. And do share your own thoughts by our WhatsApp and Facebook. We're live on Facebook. You can share your thoughts on Facebook. And also on our WhatsApp platform. Number is 0244340437. And you can do the same for Telegram, which is also it's 0244340437. I'm looking to read quite a few. Okay, so this one just came through. Good afternoon. I'd like to know your opinion on PayPal and how Ghana has been blacklisted. Virtually the whole of Africa is able to use it. Countries that comparably Ghana is better than economics-wise have gotten it right. Where did Ghana go wrong? First, we get independence, and last in everything. This is from Mac in a Shongman. That's an interesting point. There are certain fundamental things that we ought to do. For example, connectivity to the world is not only having pipes landing on your, your coast, but also the ethical use of technology.
Yes.
That may have led to a blacklisting on PayPal. What do we have to do internally as a country to ensure that the rest of the world gives us due respect and rightful access?
Well, I certainly think policy will address part of it. I certainly think security also, driven by IP addresses, will address part of it, because that will enforce the security that is required to be able to deal and transact safely on the internet. But my personal view is that this PayPal issue can be solved. I think we just need to have a dialogue. Ghana is too big and too powerful for PayPal to ignore us. And I think we need to have that conversation. I don't know the background. I think that we may be trying to deal with it separately. But if we deal with it as a country, I think this thing will disappear.
Fantastic. And I want us to end this, the last leg of our chat, along the lines of what you have seen and interacting with some of these young startups that you've been seeing in the Ghana Oracle Digital Enterprise Program. What are some of the standout ideas that you've seen out there?
Oh, I've seen people create apps that can take vital medical information, capture it and store it and transmit it wirelessly to a hospital in the case of an emergency. We have seen people who I have seen the Uber version the Uber version of a laundry.
Oh, wow.
Yes. This guy hasn't got anything, but he's able to pick up, wash, send you a bill. And then
It's all done
USSD, get the payment received. In short, there's a lot of potential. We've seen a lot, particularly among females. Lots of creativity among females. Something tells me that we just need to work hard and bring out these skills. So far, we've just done Accra and Kumasi. I am impressed by what we saw in Kumasi. The level of the skill, it's so native in the creativity, it's so raw, and it's there. We just need to harness it. We just need to mentor them. We just need to expose them, and we just need to make sure that they can create a repeatable cycle that can be scaled up.
Right. So Joseph Ajiman in Community 9 in Tema says he's enjoying the conversation, but he'd like to ask a question about what kind of support should be made available to young people who want to start up businesses but are financially bankrupt or don't have the finances. Is it always about money?
Well, I think that what will see you through is passion. Because you find that there are many people, their success today, this wasn't their first business model. They failed and failed and failed. But I think you need to start off with an idea. A startup is just a temporary organization that will work through an idea, and until the idea becomes a business model, then it becomes a company. I think you need to knock on doors. Certainly, if you have any good idea, GoDup, we are out there. Reach out to us. GoDup is part of an between Oracle and the government of Ghana. Run out of the Accra Digital Center. You can go to the Accra Digital Center site. You have access to our. Come and see us at GoDup, and we can have a discussion as to what you want to do and how we can help you. But please, 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 don't just embark on any business at all. That can also be a trap. Please want sincerely to want to do something. But now, GoDup is there, and there are also other hubs out there who will be able to help you to navigate and to bring you safely into the harbor. But I just wanted to talk also about some of the tools for innovation and share that we need to look at. We need to look at social.
Okay.
There's something called SmartSet, and I've talked on other platforms.
Break that down. So
S for social.
Okay.
Because when we talk about digital transformation, the way you do the transformation is to use the transformation tools. And the tools for the transformation, some of them sit in social. So your Facebooks and your WhatsApps are tools for creativity and innovation to move you up to the next level. They will bring about positive change. You also have to talk about mobilytics and the mobile tools and the things you can do on a mobile today. Then you also have to talk about analytics. This is where we look at big data, intelligence systems, AI, robotics, of course, cloud, and then the Internet of Things. I don't think we have even hit the tip of the iceberg concerning IoT.
Wow.
I don't think so, because from picking our beans can all be IoT'd. So much potential in a part of the world for IoT. So I am just trying to answer. So if somebody is thinking of new solutions, new technologies, please think of SmartSet. One is S is for your social. What can you use Facebook for? What can you use Twitter for? And all of these tools. Mobile. What tools can come out of your mobile? Analytics. And here we can use analytics to address most of our problems with data and sitting in silos and get the intelligence on it to be able to talk to us. And then cloud. Certainly, some of these tools need to be virtualized, without a doubt. And of course, IoT.
Okay, well, a good way to end, I must say. We're all too soon at the end of our conversation and had a few questions. Okay, now here's... okay, I think Prince from La Paz would like you to reiterate what you mean by the difference between a business owner and an entrepreneur. And yes, Prince, we will be uploading the podcast. Look out for a link on our platform. In fact, the show itself will be fully on the Facebook page, Joy 99.7 FM on Facebook. Look out for that. But please, for Prince's sake, in 30 seconds, difference between business owner and entrepreneur.
A business owner will be set up just to get extra income, to be able to do what they need to do. But when you are thinking about an entrepreneur, it is solving a problem, meeting a local need, having an impact on the immediate community. And that business model will be scalable and it will be repeatable.
Scalable, repeatable, an idea that fixes a problem.
Absolutely.
Okay, not just doing something that puts food on the table.
Absolutely.
That's the key difference. Well, thank you very much, Franklin Asari, and congratulations once again on your award. We look forward to many more great things for GODEP, for you, and for the future of this country.
Thank you very much.
And as we end the show every week, we share with you a song. And today, I think I would like to put my own self in a good mood by playing one of my own favorites. It's Aquabwa featuring Becca, or the other way around. It's my favorite instrument. Enjoy this, and look out for the news in a moment with Ernest Menu. And my name is Inshirado. As always, go forward, make rain. Shalom. We'll be back next week with more on the Executive Lounge. And look out for our special end of month season where we give spotlight to young people who are doing fantastic stuff and on their way to some greatness. See ya.